I would like to welcome you to the last notes of the year. And all I want for Christmas is everyone to complete their homework. All right. Hey, guys. I'm in the holiday spirit, ready to give you guys your last day of notes. So we're going to talk about piecewise functions really quickly. And we're going to do two things here. We are going to evaluate, which is this first part, and then we are going to graph, which is the second part. And those are the two things we're going to do today. A piecewise function is literally one function, but it's broken up into pieces. So I like to call them chunks or parts. There's two parts to this one, and the way we know which part goes where is all about this, which gives me my parameters. So this part of the equation upholds only when x is greater than 4. And then this part of the equation upholds when x is less than or equal to 4. Okay, so if I'm trying to find f of, 10, we would have to decide, well, which one is this going to go into? Is it going to go into the red or the orange? Because 10 is greater than 4, it would go into the red. So why don't you guys pause this video, take a second. I like to color coordinate. So I went ahead and pre-highlighted all of the parts of both of these piecewise functions. Okay, so you can go ahead and do that too. Hopefully you've paused and highlighted, and now we're going to evaluate. So anything that's f of is going to go with this function. Anything that's g of is going to go with this function. First one is f of 12, negative 12, excuse me. So I have to decide, am I going to plug into the red part or the orange part? I am going to plug into the orange because negative 12 is less than 4. So it falls into that category. So I'm going to plug into this equation, which is just x. So if I plug in negative 12 for x, my answer is going to be negative 12. All right, so that is how this goes. Let's go on to the letter B. This is g. So now I'm going to decide which part of the g function this goes into, g of 2. So G has 3 sections, and let me kind of explain these. The green is when x is less than negative 1. The blue is when x is greater than 3, but the yellow is when x is between negative 1 and 3. And that's what happens with this one. 2 is between the numbers negative 1 and 3. So this one goes into the yellow. So when I plug into the yellow equation, that's negative 3x plus 4. It's going to be negative 3 times 2 plus 4. So that's negative 6 plus 4, which is negative 2. And that's the answer. So I think you guys get the idea. F of 6, we're going to go back to the f function. 6 is greater than 4, so we plug into the red. Negative 1/2 times 6 is negative 3. One problem I did not put here that I'm just going to make a side note of is what if I asked for f of 4? I probably should have made that one of the examples. When f is actually equal to 4, I have to decide which one it goes into. It does not go into both. This time, it's going to go into the orange. So you're going to plug into whichever inequality is underlined because that means x has to be less than or equal to 4. So if x is equal to 4, that's the one I'm going to plug into. So I would just plug into that equation x, and I would get just 4. So that's a side note I want to make. Just to finish up the last two, g of negative 20 is going to go into the green part of g because negative 20 is less than negative 1. Now there's nothing to plug into here, so the answer is just an automatic 5. And then finally, g of 12. 12 is greater than 3. That's going to go into the blue. So let's see, plug in 2 times 12, 2x minus 6. So that's going to be 24 minus 6, which is 18. And that's evaluating a piecewise function. So we're going to move on to graphing. And for graphing, I highly suggest you make a chart. I just think it's the easiest way to do it. And I'm going to kind of use colors again here. So this first part of this first piecewise function is x squared. And that's going to happen if x is greater than -2. So I like to make a chart. And the way I do that is by always starting with whatever this number is in the parameters. Now I know that it's not or equal to, so x cannot equal -2, but that is where the function starts. So I have to start my chart there. And now the numbers I pick have to be greater than -2. So -2, -1, 0. And then I'm also going to pick 1 and 2 because I know that this is a squared function, so it's a quadratic. It's a nice U shape. So I'm going to do my quick points actually. So my quick points, plugging into x squared, -2 squared is 4, 1, 0, 1, and 4. I did that quick, but all I did was just square all my x values. And now I'm going to graph this. Now, since the x is greater than -2 but not equal to it, for this first starting point only, I'm going to make that an open circle and everything else will be closed. So at -2, 4, that's going to be an open circle. -1, 3, what am I saying? -1, 1, my bad, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 4. And x is greater than -2. So when I draw the U shape, it starts at -2, but then it goes on forever. So I'm going to put an arrow on that side, but not at the open circle because that's where the function is actually starting. Now I'm also going to do the second part. Now this one's linear, and the way I know it's linear is just because this is x to the first power, so this is just going to graph a line. So some teachers say just graph the line, but just start it when x is less than -2. That always throws me off, so I still like to make a chart, and I like to use my same rules. Now with lines, you really only need to pick 3 points, so we have to start with this number, so we're going to start with -2, and then I'm going to pick numbers smaller than that. Now, I am going to write down -3, but I'm going to explain why that's not a great number to pick. It has to do with getting a decimal answer. So -4, and then I am going to pick more because at the end of this, I'm really not going to do odd numbers, but I'll explain that as we plug in. When I plug in -2 to this equation, let's see, I get 3 minus 6, which is -3. And you can use a calculator for that if you're not comfortable. Here's the thing, when I plug in -3 here, I actually get 9 over 2, so that's 4.5 minus 6, so that is a fraction, so I'm going to not do that one. I just have to get a few points, and I know it's going to be a line, so let's just do even numbers. We're not going to do these odd numbers. So the moral of the story is if the denominator is 2 and a fraction, you only want to pick numbers divisible by 2. If that denominator was 3, I would only pick numbers divisible by 3. So when I pick -4, let's see, -4 over 2 is 2 times, so that's going to be 0. And then -6, so that's going to be 9 minus 3 is 3. So those are my points, -2, -3, and this point is going to be closed. And the reason why it's closed is because we are including -2. So -2, -3 is a closed circle, and then -4 is 0, and then -6, 3. Now to draw the line, this is going to be when x is less than -2. So when I draw the line, that line should be to the left of -2 because it's less than. All of my x values have to be less than -2. So that's how you know which way to draw the line. Since it's less than -2, I have to draw my line to the left of that line, of that -2. So hopefully that makes sense. So there's one example. I'm only going to do one more, and then you can try example 3 on your own and check the answer key that is posted. So again, I'm going to do this one a little bit quicker. Let's do an orange graph. So this is going to be a really quick chart because it's just plugging into x. So again, I like to pick, you really don't need to do the chart, but for me, it's really helpful. So I always start with this number, 3. Plug it in. 3 is just going to go to 3. Pick numbers greater than. So I'm going to pick 3, 4, and 5. So it'll be 4, 4, and 5, 5. And this 3, 3 is going to be closed because I have an underline here. Okay, so 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. And that is when x is greater than 3. So I want to make sure my line is going to the right of that line at 3. Okay, so then I have to do the next one. Now this one I really don't need a chart because this is going to be a horizontal line at -4 between the x values 0 and 3. And these are both going to be open circles because the inequality is not underlined. So we're going to have a line at -4 between 0 and 3. Between 0, 1, 2, 3. And 3 is just a horizontal line. I really did not need a chart for that one. You could make a chart if you wanted, but you don't have to. Last part, this one I definitely want to make a chart because it's x squared minus 2, and that's if x is less than or equal to 0. So make your chart. You've got to start with that inequality number. So we're starting with 0. And then picking numbers less than that. So -1, -2, and if you wanted to do -3, you could. Okay, so plug in 0. 0 squared is 0, minus 2 is -2. 1 squared, 1 minus 2 is -1. -2 squared is 4, minus 2 is 2. -3 squared is 9, minus 2 is 7. And this is going to be a closed circle because of the underline. All right, so let's plot our point. 0, -2. -1, -1. -2 is at 2. And -3 is at 7. Beautiful. So this, and I have to kind of understand the shape. Really, this should be a parabola, right? But it's only when x is less than 0. So it's actually going to be half of the parabola. There we go. So it's going to look more like this. Just 1/2 of a parabola. Oh, wait, no arrow. Oh, shoot. I actually want it to end right at that point. So, oops. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Oh, it's a text box. That's why. Oh, man, problems. So I actually, oh, no, I did lie. Guys, I'm off. I'm off my A game. This is if x is less than 0, so it does go on. If it was between two numbers, it wouldn't go on, but it's not. So it's just less than 0, so it does go on. I can draw an arrow. Boy, that is it. So I want you guys to try this one on your own by making a chart and then check your answer on the answer key. And that'll be all. Good job. You're done. Actually, yeah, you're done with the semester. Congratulations.